G'day, listeners. This episode is proudly brought to you by our sponsors, supshq.com.au. Use BWB15 at checkout to receive 15% off and direct shipping.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and all you in between, to another episode of Bros with Brains, here with co-host in his red Jordan hat, thinking that he is a blood when in fact he's just white, Ben. What's going on?
Just fucking, go back from uni. So I was like way too close to the clock to have a shower and get changed and dress in my usual attire. So I was like, yeah, whatever.
Is this why you're wearing the red hat? Because you went to uni? You just like make sure everyone knows that you're a blood?
Yeah, just got to
You're
establish dominance.
true gangster.
Yeah, just got to establish dominance early. Let everyone know that I'm there, right?
You cut a bitch.
Oh, fuck you up. I can
Like,
literally.
while we're doing our psychosocial experiment here in psych class.
Yeah, while we're doing psychoanalysis, I will fuck you up.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the dark side.
Yeah.
Well,
You mean just every day, right?
pretty much, yeah. It was
Like,
actually alarming to me this morning. I walked in the room, and honestly, like, because I'm into second year subjects and some third years, given the age tops for that would be 18-year-olds turning 19, right? Or 19 turning 20, depending on graduation. There was honestly like some of the girls that walked like leading the amphitheater, like the lecture hall. I honestly could have picked them up one-handed and moved them out of the way and not even like felt a strain. They were so tiny as people, and I was like, holy shit. Like,
yeah.
genuinely small human being.
So welcome back to uni as a mature age student.
Yeah, legit. I was like, I've got 40 odd kilos on every person in this room. Like, I'm not sure if I'm impressed about this or alarmed.
Yeah, it's like, am I fat?
Yeah. Do I need to feed you guys? Like, you guys need to you need to coach.
Start giving out your business card.
Legit. I'm like my business motto for uni is basically like, by the end of graduation, I want to do like uni has in uni TED Talks. Like, you can present anything, like you can apply to it. Like, even though I'm doing psych, I'm like, I'm going to present on business and nutrition and training. Like,
yeah,
because like some of my followers are from like my exercise psych class, and they're doing X science, and some of the stuff that I'll put out, or they'll ask me questions about it in like message or reply to context, are worrying what they actually learned.
You don't learn anything in exercise science. I'm telling you.
Oh man, like I was sitting there talking to one of them just this week. Like I was on campus when they were there, and like they were like, "Oh, you're doing sports psych this year?" I was like, "Yeah, doing that." And they were bringing up about how I ramble about certain things, and we're talking about rehab and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, one of the alarming things I have with some of my physio clients who are like physique prep clients as well, they don't directly get taught things like how hypertrophy applies outside of like a rehabilitation sense. Like, they'll know that progressively overloading an injury or getting it stronger over time makes sense, but they don't understand how that applies to training,
and how it actually works. You learn that in first year uni. Like, that's first year, first semester. I'm
expose your rec fem fucking tendonitis to greater degrees of load to re-strengthen and then eventually correct it, and off you go. I'm like, yeah, so that premise applies to muscle tissue as well. Like, that's how we load it and we get it better, and it grows and adapts. And she's like, yeah, that's not really what we talk about. I was like,
yeah, you honestly, any exercise student that's probably listening to this will also tell you that exercise science in university is literally the biggest waste of time. It's like the equivalent of an arts degree in like the sports science or science fields. It's like, yeah, at least if you got a degree in science, like it's a bit more specific, because you have to then actually tailor it and pick what you want to do at the end of it. So like it's a joke. It's a genuine joke, exercise science.
And that to me was like, because I've had like literally several now. There's like a couple of female students that I was in with like ex psych, because they kind of make it part of the sub course to do exercise psychology now, so you can kind of understand how to talk to your client, I guess. And then there's a couple of others that were in other subjects and messaging like, you've made me change how I want to view exercise coaching and what I want to do. I was like,
well, I don't think there's many science degrees now, or in applied science or science in general, that doesn't require further study for you to actually 100%. Be in a field, right? Like, an exercise science degree now wouldn't get you a job as anything other than probably a coach.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm talking like a very mediocre role, like
Yeah.
mediocre pay for a coach.
Yep.
You'd have to genuinely like be more specific in your further study and be like, well, I want to do, physiology, I want to do
Yep.
rehab specific, I want to do strength and conditioning,
Yep.
I want to do whatever. And then that would be the obviously what entails your job post
Yes.
study. But yeah, man, back in the day, it was like if we did exercise science and everyone's like, yeah, we can go work in a sporting team. And
Yeah.
because that's what it was always developed. And that's what all the
Yep.
strength and conditioning components of a exercise science degree and everything to do with exercise science is literally built around Australian sport. So it's
Yeah.
like field sports,
Yeah.
AFL, soccer, rugby. I mean, there's a bit of weightlifting in there, like all these, explosive, dynamic movement sports. Nothing was ever developed for what was more useful, being
Yeah.
in a gym, like
Yeah.
actually training people to get stronger.
Well,
Like,
what's
and
even
for
more
this,
alarming than that to me is like when I talked to Cav, he was saying that like given what we've just said as that premise there, he's like, yeah, your standard of university level education for physiology and exercise science is better than ours. He's like,
yeah,
we still push, like they still heavily push, like what are we talking? I think it was like kinesiology, like they still heavily
yeah,
push
yeah.
kinesiology and mechanical chains and stuff like that. Like
Hmm.
that's their big thing. And
Yeah.
he's like because Rowan wants to look at international work as a physio, and he's like some of the international registration bodies are so
Hmm.
cheap because they just want good international physios to come over.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, you just
Yeah.
like Australia's not even that good, but compared to like the North Americas, he's like, we're a
Yeah.
godsend.
Well, yeah, we're well ahead of the curve, which
Yeah.
is sad.
But yeah, it's just yeah. So yeah, it's just amusing to me. I'm looking at it, I'm like, I'm so glad I came, and I know I've said this before, but I'm like, I'm just glad I came back to uni as an older student because
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
look
yeah,
at
you're
this and
right.
I'm like, I have no interest in the party and I have no interest
Mm.
in the bullshit. I don't have
And
any interest in your guilds or
man,
your groups.
it's actually funny when you think about it. Some degrees would probably be better as a mature age student. And it's
Oh, for
just
sure.
like really when you think about it, like you look at like a medical degree, and it's
Yeah.
like doctors that are finishing, they do their undergrad and then they have to do so originally it was just an undergrad and
Yeah.
now they have to do further study. Or I think they have to do a degree beforehand and then do medicine actually.
Yes.
Here, yeah. So you have to do, I think it can be any form of study beforehand. So you can have a degree in arts and then go do medicine,
Yeah.
right? So at least you've got 6 years of, study. So by the time you're done, you're probably 24, 25.
Yep.
Okay, probably a bit more mature and a bit older. But imagine being like that 21-year-old who graduated and became a doctor. That
Yeah.
imagine 21 and a doctor. Like,
Let me tell you about
like
all
fuck,
these
yeah,
disorders and diseases I've never read.
well, yeah, like dude, like, and it'd be, I reckon, so hit and miss. It's either you're gonna get a really good, young, enthusiastic, wanting to
Yep.
learn individual who's really open-minded, or you're gonna get the kid that just like left study till the night
Yep.
before and
100%
dropped a
crammed.
ton of
Yep.
modafinil and has absolutely great recall but no actual learning.
Yep.
And
Yeah. I
just
can't
like
apply this in real world principle.
yeah, and it's just like he knows it's or she knows that it's safe to grab the prescription pad and write, 3 different drugs because they're safe and just be like, yeah, that should fix this.
Ah, you all
Yeah.
get opioids.
Yeah, it's like
Welcome to the American drug epidemic.
it's literally just amoxicillin for everything. Here you go. You're welcome.
Oxycodone, boom, there you go.
Like this will solve your problem. Here you go. Fuck,
Well,
man.
like that's the part of the worry about, well, I think part of the worry about things like psychology is like what because like the statistical so I had statistics today and the lecturer was like, honestly guys, like you really need to pay attention to this. He's like, as much as this might be a boring class, he's like, I would argue that psychological statistical research conducting is one of the most nuanced forms of conduction to actually get a result and an answer to experiment and study to create theory, frameworks, premise, whatever. Is like, you not only have to control for the qualitative measures, you then have to be able to control for the quantitative measures, make sure that like you're literally studying people's biases. So you have to remove your own biases and be able to identify things like extraneous variables, co-founding variables. You have to be able to control for these things, remove those implications. It's like, if you really want to do well in like ours is called stats 3 or 350,
Yep.
which is like
Yep.
your fucking like, in order to do clinical psych, you have to
You have to
pass
pass. Yep.
stats 350.
Yeah.
And he's like, to get that and then go on to do honors where you then learn actual research conduction and like how to use ANOVAs and how to use like alpha primes and stuff. He's like, you need to understand how nuanced psych conduction is.
Yep.
And there's cunts just talking in the back room and shit. And I'm like, you guys are not like, imagine like, this is where we get so many issues in like the way, like we're just generally talking about, fuck me, I wrote it down. That's going to annoy the shit out of me because I'm going to have to go back and read it. The generality, like basically like you need to be able to control and understand that, you know, is what's conducted in the lab accurate enough to be applied to real world applications.
Yep.
If it's not very valid. It's like you might be able to research it in a controlled environment, but if we can't take it, and that's most of the problems with nutrition and fucking fitness research, if you can't take it from the lab to the person, it's almost irrelevant. And you know, trying to understand that, like you can have researcher bias, participation bias, you can have influences, you can have you know, influence on the outcome, influence on the participants, all this shit. And then you also have to control for whether or not this you know, data that's even you've pulled is relevant generality to the population you're trying to find it for. It's like all this stuff. And I'm just like, yeah, this is some heavy shit to tell 18, 19-year-olds who are barely paying attention and probably on a come down, or like, you know, want to just go get a feed from Subway afterwards.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I remember doing research. So research stats. No, what was the topic? What was the subject we did? No, that was in my master's. I think it was stats, research stats, or research, something to do with research. Anyway, I remember having that exact conversation. I was like, oh yeah, good times, memories. But yeah, it's the biggest flaw with research is like, well, hold on, how much of this is actually translatable? How much can we actually take of this research and say this applies to the people that we work with, or the people yeah, well, like really the people we work with and the people that it'd be applied to, because for me, it's always like that metformin study always gets me. And it's always like when people are like, oh, metformin inhibits muscle protein synthesis. They're like, oh my God, it's so bad for you. Why do you take it? It makes you smaller. It's like, you're basing this off the one research paper that it inhibits one pathway, one of like 8 pathways.
And you probably read the conclusion.
Yeah, the abstract and the conclusion. And then also that it was applied, like I remember the research was the actual population was 60 plus men, so 60-year-olds plus. They were given, I think it was 80 grams of protein a day. They were given 2 grams of metformin. And they're like, and they're wondering why it inhibited muscle, like muscle protein synthesis. It's like, I think even if you remove the metformin, they'd have inhibited their muscle protein synthesis by only giving them 8 grams of fucking protein, brother. Like, no,
man, like, populations now only need 0.8 grams per kilogram.
Yeah. It's just, anyway, that's why I was just like, these aren't the things that really apply to us. But
and part of that as well is like and I've argued this several times in different like lit reviews or crit reviews and stuff that I've submitted, is that you've got like most research that we apply, right, is university level, like written PhDs or thesis or master's thesis, where it's written by, let's say if you've gone straight from high school to your undergrad into your master's or what have you, that's maybe I think it's 4 to 5 years for psych. You would go 3 years, then you do your 4th year as honors, then you do your application to your master's degree. So by 5th year, you're doing a thesis on masters to implicate or implement a theory, a fucking premise, a result, framework, whatever you're trying to do. So you might be 23. You got 23-year-olds writing with zero real world application or real world experience or knowledge or anecdote that this result is absolute in this population. And you're like, there's a degree of bias here, or there's issues in gaps between this 23-year-old and the population that they're apparently studying or trying to implement this for. Like, oh, well, you know, if we give, you know, it's perfectly okay for, I don't know, mums to be a certain body fat because they don't have the time to exercise, and this is the framework, so we should just give them 2 days a week. Okay, cool. Like, sure, but you know, there's a lot of nuance here where we can get a mum to do 3 or 4 days a week, change body composition, increase food intake, whatever the fucking example is. You've got a 23-year-old who on paper knows that this makes sense, but has literally zero real world application or experience. And that's going to impact their research questions, their research methods, their structures, the population they're studying, their limitation acknowledgement.
The beauty of that is like watching brand new therapists, like rehab therapists of any sort. So whether it be a physio, chiro, osteo, myo, fresh out the gate, have no actual like real life experience, and then they get to their job and like and it's like they start learning on the job, and you're like, because it's like, you know, they have, I've seen it and I see it all the time. Like still have physios and osteos come to me and ask me about rehab stuff and, you know, treatment plans and things like that. And I'm like, fuck, this is like a long time ago that I used to do this stuff. I don't do this anymore. But it's like you're taught the framework in uni, right? So you're taught, okay, well, when someone presents with this problem, this is probably the first step we take in the treatment plan. And it's like, as you get more experienced, it's like you will never go back there.
Yeah.
But you won't know that until you've treated that same problem 50 times and gone, holy shit, I stuffed up 43 of those times. You know what I mean?
The good
And
old
it's like,
Dunning-Kruger.
yeah, and it's just like you need to make the mistake a lot
Yeah.
for you to then fix it a lot more. And it's like, yeah, like people get so scared and they're so scared to be wrong, especially at the start. And it's like, man, just get a mentor, get someone, like work under someone, especially if you're, you know, fresh out and never got experience. It's like always get in and under and start working for someone.
This is what to me was so ironic, and not ironic. It's going to sound like I'm attacking evidence-based coaches. We're evidence-based coaches, but I see a lot of people that, you know, will say they're the evidence-based coaching market, or, you know, or there's the market of people who say evidence-based coaches are wrong entirely or whatever. Well, I'm into second year stats, right? Second year statistics analysis. I got a 7 in my first year stats. That's like the highest grade, or I think it was like sub, so it might have been 6, just under a 7. So that gives me a distinction. And only at second year, right? The lecturer is like, by the end of this semester, I envision that you guys will be able to confidently be able to read and understand methodology and the discussion, because I'm guessing but in first year stats and your first year lit reviews, most of you are just doing abstracts, conclusions, and a bit of the methodology or principles in your assessment and reviews. I was like, I'm someone who reads research. Like I'll go read research. I'll do research. Like I have research days, or I'm reading stuff, or if we write articles for the website, like I'll go through and read it. And even I'm like taking my time to break it down and try and still get really good at it. And the adult is a fucking freak with it. The guy can read 20 of them in a day. And I'm like, that's impressive. He's like Rain Man. But like, I'm in second year studying literally research and how to read it. And we've got people who are like, oh, I'm evidence-based or I'm research-based. And you hear them break it down. And I'm like, if in second year we're only just learning how to correctly read discussions, and that's second year psychology analysis, where they really drive home how to differentiate between qualitative, quantitative, biases, inferences, all that sort of stuff, and we're just learning how to read the discussion properly, you are not even in any form of like research or education. And that's what I'm not dissing that. It's just more so like,
no, it's just that
you haven't been put in that environment to read it properly.
Yeah, your perception of what you're reading is completely and utterly flawed.
Then you're saying that this is the exact answer from this research piece, and you've read one of them, or you haven't gone to really assess the biases, or you don't understand the implications or the inferences or the limitations. Like that to me is a big, not a big red flag, but it's like it becomes an issue, right? Because like you're taking 100%. What you believe to be is the evidence, but you don't know how to dissect it.
It's not even, I guess, the issue is the people that do it, and if they have any form of influence, then start pushing it. And it's like, well, are you pushing a dangerous thought process? Are you pushing a dangerous bias? Maybe like, there's so many, you know, things that come along with that. And look, 9 times out of 10, it's not usually a problem, but it only ever takes that one.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? That causes the issue, right? So it is funny that a lot of people, like I remember when evidence-based was becoming a thing, like that was, anyway, people would be reading the abstract and then they'd read the conclusion and they'd be like, oh yeah, because this is what it said. But it's like, you didn't read the research method.
Yeah.
You didn't read the discussion.
Yeah.
You didn't read the actual biases like of the company that paid them to do the research, like,
or the biases of the researcher,
like that. Which one was it? Like, I won't name the person who posted it, but this was years ago. Someone posting about grounding and earthing and something to do with a rock blanket, maybe. And I read the study. So they posted the study, so I read it head to toe. It literally took me like 20 minutes to read. It was easy it was a boring read. And then literally I should have literally skipped to the bottom, because at the bottom it says paid by. I'm like, And that's what you get for not skipping. You waste 20 minutes of fucking reading about
Yes.
earthing and grounding. Kill me now. To realize that what they were selling was the company that actually
Yeah.
was selling the product.
That was one of the researchers, and like this is a very easy example, but one of the research they brought on that Game Changers documentary was talking about how plant-based systems and blah blah can be just as efficient and healthy and all this sort of fucking crap, and adequate for like athletic performance and shit like that. It then goes on. I think you do like a basic background research on this doctor. He sells a book and a retreat camp on vegan fucking lifestyles and like how to sell. Like he has like third-party investments where he sells a product as like someone trying to push veganism and will like say, "Hey, come eat this," and like
yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
right, you
that
can't
was-
conduct research and then also like have a conclusion of the research you want to find. That's a bias. We
Yeah,
have
that
that
was-
limitation.
yeah.
Acknowledge it.
Yeah, they were a vegan company. Wasn't it was someone famous?
Yeah, it was a pretty big deal. It was on there. He was on. I can't remember
Was
his
it?
name.
No, it was the company that was owned. The company that was owned was from someone famous. Who is it? They owned it was a vegan company and they sold everything vegan.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was some famous person. I can't remember who the fuck it was now. That's
Yeah, I
gonna
can't
annoy
remember
the shit
either.
out of me.
I just
But
remember
yeah,
the doctor
I
that
know.
was like the doctor that was the one prescribing the nutrition.
Yeah, it was
protocols.
the doctor from the
Yeah.
company, but
Yeah.
then the owner of the company is someone like really fucking famous. I
Yeah,
can't
who was
remember
also
who it is.
funding the documentary and the research. And it's
Yeah,
like, bruh, what do you mean?
because that's not bias.
Yeah, no, we don't need to worry about that. And like that's obviously a very clear, easy example, but I mean,
But
taking
it happens that often, and it's like literally when you do vitamins, it's like any big vitamin brand. It's like, yeah, we've had it tested, and it's like it's usually been tested by them, unless they state that it's been independently tested.
Yeah.
Which a lot of them are doing now, like independently tested by a third party. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
cool, we can vouch for this a little bit more. But
Yeah.
back in the day, it was like, all the top vitamin brands were just like, yeah, we tested our products. It's like, yeah, you tested your products. Like that's the problem. You tested it.
Yeah.
Like
I'm
what are you
going
gonna
to do
do?
the PR for the research that we conducted on our product and tell you it's good.
Yeah, and it's like, what are you gonna do? Test to see what's bad in it? Like you're gonna just test the good shit. You're not
We
gonna
released a
test the bad.
protein and it found out traces of glass. You should buy it. Well,
Yeah,
you're going to do that.
but it was 32 grams per scoop, so take it because hectic.
Uh,
Anyway, people are funny.
anyway, yeah. No. Besides that, a bit of a rant on fucking uni.
Yeah, that's funny.
The body is fucking,
Wasn't going to be the talking topic, but
that wasn't a talking topic, but the body is dead this week. So I want to deload whatever you've got planned for me in my next assault phase, my next fucking physical abuse phase.
Going to be fun.
Yeah. So it's good. Cranking over the 100-kilo mark and staying there over roughly about 100.8. Like my increments are ridiculously small at the moment. It's fucking brilliant. What is that? 4,200 calories at 100.8, I think on average, which is good. Usually that is pushing me well above that. And just taking a week off to train and chill and get business sorted and not train, to chill, relax.
It's always a good thing.
I'm fucking sore. Everything hurts. Turns out when you train with intensity and go to a certain degree that you'd build up fatigue and soreness.
Yes. Who would have thought that you needed to deload?
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I'm not gonna lie. On Sunday, played the round of my life.
We've been having some few of those recently.
No. Sunday was a good round. So I played with two of my mates, and I'm like, guys, I know the course. Like, I know the course well. It's my favorite course here. I'm like, it's a nice day. I'm like, I want to play the course. I don't want to play stupid. I just want to play inside myself and just be like, see what I can score. Just see I'll just see what I can score. So I got one of my mates to actually score me. I'm like, cool. Like,
just don't tell me the score.
Yeah, no, like I'll score myself and you score me as well. And at the end, we'll see if we get the same score or if we're different. Like, did I give myself? Did you give me one? Whatever it is. Because sometimes, like you play with a mate, and mate's just like, fuck it, give it to him. And I'm like, no, I don't want any give me. He's like, score it.
Give it to me. Yeah.
So we get to the first tee, par 5, 280-meter bomb down the middle. I'm like,
ooh.
We're on for a good day here. Like, we are on, boys. Finished up the score 76. Shot 76, 6 over. I was wrapped. I hit like 11 out of 13 fairways, which is phenomenal. I hit like 7 greens in regulation, so it set me up beautifully. And the whole day, I only played one birdie. I couldn't believe it. I had so many birdie putts. So fucking annoying. Oh yeah, my putting. If I could get my putting, I literally would have been like 2 over, I reckon.
You're literally at that point of fucking of Happy Gilmore where he's just got the absolute drive on him, and then he's fucking sitting there working with old mate.
And even my chipping,
happening?
yeah, even my chipping onto the green was phenomenal. Like my play onto the green was like, it was fucking professional. It was elite. And the thing is, I had 32 putts for the round, which is a pretty good round of putting because it's, you know, less than 2 per hole.
Mhm.
So 36 is like what you try to beat.
Mhm.
And 32 putts. It's like it's a pretty good fucking round.
That's
I'm
fair.
just it was just if I could get 30 sub 30, it would have been fucking it would have been on. But anyway, these things happen. It was a great round.
Pick up.
Yeah, people going fucking nuts. I'm like, yeah. Got off the course and my mate's like, you got
Suck my dick, boys.
like, yeah, like you played fucking well. I'm like, yeah.
Yes, I did.
My
Remember that
drive,
shit.
the 2 clubs that I missed the fairway with was my 3-wood. Actually, it was my 3-wood twice. Take that back. I didn't miss the fairway with my driver. I had that thing on a string. Like
Start chipping on the driver.
literally, like I put every drivers down the fairway like 240, 250 meters at least every time. I was like, this
Nice.
is living Barry. Yeah, I was wrapped. I got off the course. I'm like, I am signing up to this golf club.
I'll be here every week. Do not change anything.
Well, they have like a lifestyle membership. So the lifestyle membership is like you pay like $400, and then every
Yeah.
time you go, because it's like an hour away, right?
Yeah.
You pay $400 for the year, and then you get discount green fee, so you don't have to pay full price because the full price is like $100.
Yeah.
So I get 50% off, and I've played it 6 times or 5 times in the last 5-6 months. So I'm like, I'm probably going to play it more often. If I can get 1 round in a month at that place, it pays itself off.
That's fair.
Yeah. So I was like, fuck it, I'll do it.
Business expense.
Well, no, I wish.
It's trust development, right?
I can't get that one. I don't think I could get that one through to my account.
How can we make this disappear?
I should. He's on holidays though. I don't want to ruin his holiday.
Look, I don't want to stress you on your day off, but
He literally called me before he went on holiday. He's like, look, I'm letting you know I'm going on holiday. Don't do anything stupid. And I'm like, I can't promise anything.
we shall see.
But I won't notify you of what I'm doing. I'll just, you know,
You're just
I'll
gonna
let you
email when you land.
I'll let you deal with it when you get back and you see my account and you see
It
my
sounds
account
like a
spend.
you problem
Yeah.
for my finances.
Yeah, it's like I need to be held accountable and you're away. That's your fault.
Grow up. Don't take time off.
Yeah, I don't care that you have a child and a wife. That's your problem. That's not
Fuck your
mine.
personal needs.
Yeah, and like personal time off because people stress you out. Probably me, but that's not my problem. But anyway,
Yeah, that's fair.
that's right.
Hey, I'll tell you what. So big thing for me, obviously, with like clients and especially like going through preps and stuff is I'll tend to run like I pride myself on knowing that I can always learn more and I'm always looking to improve what I know. So I'll always run clients and progressions and stuff by certain people and just get their feedback on what they think. So I've had Michael looked over by a couple of guys and I got Chrissy's nod of approval.
Yep.
So Chrissy looked at he's full time back on his post grad dietetic. So I was like, back up, he's pretty busy. But he's like, get me as many videos as you can. I'll give you some feedback and stuff and add some changes and send me some feedback and some critique. But he's like, overall, man, he's like, his position, he's going to do some damage. And I was like, sweet. It's like getting that from someone like Chris, get it from yourself, get it from like Nick Weir, just getting some feedback on these guys, and everyone's just like, he looks fucking stupid. Like, cool.
Chris messages me. He's like, so I think I'm going to go back to uni and do dietetics. I'm like, why? He's like, so I have a job to fall back on when I'm finished coaching. I'm like, dude, you're going to be coaching until you're dead. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
He goes, but he's like, yeah, but probably not. And he goes, oh, by the way, just make sure you're available. So when I get to like study time, I can annoy you. I'm like, I'm charging you consult fees, bro.
You will keep that time available.
I am charging you for every question you ask me.
Yeah, fair. Fucking fair. But yeah, so pretty much just got to a point like his weight was getting away. Like the dude was churning food, and I was like, okay, let's pull back. We're good.
Yeah.
Got to is like haven't even modified like sodium, potassium, fluid. Just kept regular. As we know, we just keep every variable the same as much as we can.
I ain't broke, wife.
Nothing to fuck around with shit. Just sort of kept him comfortable, kept him chilling, resting when he can, training when he can. I'm like, just modified his last 6-week program. So, like 2 weeks ago, his last 6-week block. Just took out a few extra, like more intensive compounds that we just didn't need in there. Like at this point, bro, we're not building muscle. Let's just dry you out, we'll lean you up, pull back on stress and fatigue, get rid of the fucking fluid, just get you to relax and train, enjoy some training. We start practicing filling up. And he's like, fucking sweet. Put him to game a diet break this week. Went from like 2100 to like 35 in his weights, just holding. I'm like, fuck, cunt. Like, bruh. So like 35 calories per kilogram for diet break. And I'm like, God damn. That's like, I may as well just put you in surplus because there's not even a surplus at this point.
Yeah, and it's not even touching the sides.
No, I'm like, this is good. We're not like, we're seeing this and not even looking at like filling up. I'm like, for like, let's just say a flat rate, 400 carbs per day. That's 2,800 carbs over a week, and the dude's still looking flat. And I'm like, all right, cool. That's pretty decent. We can use that and look at those numbers.
It's exactly where we want to be.
Yeah. So excited for him to get there. He's jumped on, as we know, like he got some bodybuilding trunks, and we had a look over the other day, and fuck me dead. Like, fuck me dead. I got him to throw on just a like a basic tan coat, and I was like, just put on like a Bondi tan, Bondi Sands, whatever it is. Got his missus to coat him, let it just set overnight and go real dark. Just the fucking difference from being albino white to just having some color.
Base tan, yeah.
I was just like,
that's why I asked you if you're going to test tanning on him, because it's probably going to come out that he needs to like.
Well, I already sent him photos to Chev, so like everyone knows me and stuff. We use the same girl, like she's unreal at what she does. And I said, I'm like, look, he's British white. The dude needs
there's white and then there's white.
there's white and then there's Michael, who's so white he just inherited a trust fund. Like that's how white he is. She's like,
he was born into a trust fund from his grandfather's grandfather.
Yeah. So she's like, I'm pretty sure he's got oil money somewhere or like something like that.
Yeah.
So some colonial cash.
100%.
So he's like, he's just he's got
some money from the slave trade.
Yeah, legit. So she's just gonna triple coat him.
Fair.
Which is fucking fair. And we'll just start, I think from next week, start practicing his load protocols, digging back out from like Sunday to Wednesday, try a 2-day load, see how he looks on the Sunday, then try a 3-day load, try a 1-day load, see how it goes. Dude's in a position where we can just fuck around and find out now and just keep it tight.
Exactly right. It's always a good spot to be in.
It's not bad for like, another, I don't know, just a really good feel. Like obviously you can't predict places and stuff like that. There's going to be plenty of competition, but like knowing where I was up there for first timers classic and bodybuilding, and now he's like bodybuilding has first timers as well. He's going to walk up there and just be like a fucking next level. There's a few imbalances and stuff, I'd have liked to have more dedicated time to specifically grow for bodybuilding.
Of course.
But that's just every physique. If he wants to pursue it down the track, sweet. If he doesn't, we just have those weaknesses to work on over time.
Yeah, you just work with what you got, right?
And it's pretty fucking good. Like he's just got that rigid bodybuilder stiffness, like just a little bit of things to work out of him. We're just got to gradually just try and change and tweak and get a bit more flow. But in terms of appearance and stuff, like it's pretty fucking good.
Yeah, that's what we want.
But yeah, that's fucking the week. The fucking business, training, simples.
Life, talking about research.
Talking about research. But there was something I was going to fucking ramble on. What was it?
We were going to ramble on genetics.
Oh, yeah. So a really good post actually, and it was a statement made by Kuba, and then I saw a lot of like some people like in the comments, and I saw some other people as well, like just saying some shit like if you're not like the thing that I consider, right, when we look at data and stuff, the data isn't because so much that we're neurotic. It's because we understand that we don't just have the propensity to build muscle out of our asshole from looking at a piece of bread. Like at a certain point, we're looking at data and metrics and tracking and knowing the tangibles and knowing the measurables and knowing the results, because we need to see where the levels of progression are required, where the stimulus is, what the load is, what's required to keep me going, how do I optimize my recovery, all these fine-tuned details. Because even with enhancements, even with these things that people claim is just the excuse or the easy way that can just get a result, I don't just have the propensity to just build fuck tons of muscle from just staring at a dumbbell. Like it just doesn't work that way. So for us, in my head, and it's something that I've always taken, is to take a growth mindset towards the fact that, like most likely for me, I have the not genetic gift to build muscle. So if I'm not at the elite level and I'm not like already the 1% of the 1%, it doesn't mean I can't work to get there. But to me, I'm looking at that data and going, knowing exactly where I stand, knowing exactly where I was last week, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, 2 months ago, a year ago, being able to look back on photos, comparisons, placings, like muscle belly progressions, how I'm looking. The assumption should always be, because the statistical probability, and this is why it's good to learn statistics, is you are not in the 99th percentile of elite genetics, right? That would mean that you're in the 1th percentile which is a very far outlier, above 3 standard deviations from the norm, that you're in that elite pool of people, it is safer to assume that statistically you're probably not in that group. So it's safer to treat yourself like you don't have the genetic gift. Assuming that you don't have these genetic fucking windfalls and you've just got these automatic like passes in life, and you'll just get $1 million because of something, or you'll just get a successful business because of parents, or you'll just get a fucking Olympia level physique by just abusing training and abusing drugs and hoping for the best. The likelihood is that you probably don't have that genetic predisposition, and it's safer to treat yourself that way. So then you can start to control the exact things you need to control to put yourself in a position where you're still at least contending, or that you're at least progressing, or that you're controlling the forms of progression. And we see this even at the elite level. Like, we have pro bodybuilders like your Kubas, people that like Joe are building, the Dean are building, where even at the elite level, they're still not as elite as the other elite guys. So they're controlling their variables and their data on the assumption and preposition that it's like, I just have to work fucking hard and track my data and know what's working and what isn't working. Look back and see if that worked or not. Because we have like your James Hollingsheads and stuff that'll go in there, your Ronnies, whatever, and they'll just train fucking hard, and they'll just go train to feel and be like, oh, well, this week I just feel like doing this, or I might throw in some of this. There's no system to it. It's just, it's back day or it's leg day. And they'll respond because heavy as fuck stimulus is close to failure and shit ton of drugs.
Yeah, but the other thing to that is they didn't get to where they were by doing what they're doing now.
Oh yes, for sure, 100%.
That's the thing that people forget, and it's like a lot of these guys that are these like more feely based, I guess we'll call them feely based, bodybuilders and stuff, that they're like, oh, I'll go in and do some form of session, but in saying that, they all do their mains. They've all got the same main lifts that they do each like week, each rotation, like the hack squat, the incline press, fucking Smith machine, incline press, whatever it is, they keep that consistent. That never changes. It could be just some of the accessories that they change. And it could be based on the gym they're in, who they're training with, whatever it is. But it's like a bicep curl is a fucking bicep curl. Like at that level, at that height of your sport, it doesn't matter what variation of the fucking bicep curl. You could do a different variation each week. You're still going to get some form of a stimulus because you've already almost maxed it out. Like you're literally just trying to keep them up effectively.
Yeah.
But if you were to ask any one of those guys when they came up how they did it, they will have some form of a system in place that worked for them. They may not have written it down, but they'll tell you that I did the same 3 exercises for chest for 6 years. And it's like, it's still the same shit. It just wasn't written down.
And that's a very good way to put it, because we will look at these people who are at the elite, right? And we'll start to either assume like, coming up, I should either just be like them or not at all. Or like, my excuses are because I don't have this, or, I can't do that, so there's no point trying. But the key then, in my eyes, and how I coach and how I push things and the way I do things, is that, okay, let's look at that and go, well, what did work for them? But if you can't do that, or if you don't have that genetic predisposition, which is likely because you're not in that 1%, but also you haven't even trained hard enough for long enough to know that genetics is the real limitation. Take the assumption then that your genetic predisposition is not blessed, and make it a non-negotiable or a non-excuse that your hard work and your accuracy and your consistency can't be doubted. If you simply do those things, at a certain point in time, genetics is taken out of the equation until you get to the top, where it's like, okay, that next step is that next level.
Yeah, but also be realistic with when you're comparing yourself to somebody when it comes to genetics and being genetically elite or genetically gifted. Like this conversation we had last week, there's levels to genetics, right?
Oh, for sure.
You can be genetically gifted, and then you could be genetically elite.
Yeah.
And it's like, and that's why I keep saying, like, genetically gifted are like IFBB pros. If you want to use bodybuilding as the example, it's like from the amateur ranks to get a pro card, you have to have some form of genetic gift. You have to, like, otherwise you wouldn't be getting a pro card. But you want to get on the Olympia stage or the Arnold stage, you have to be genetically elite.
Yes.
There's no questions. You have no control over that. But to say that, but to compare yourself, if you're going like, hey, I'm comparing myself to Ronnie Coleman, it's like you're a moron.
Yes,
like,
100%.
Like that's not being realistic in any sense.
100%.
But if you're like, hey, I'm comparing myself to the IFBB pro that trains in my gym, maybe a better comparison, because no one's probably ever heard of him or her. Like, they might have 10,000 followers on Instagram or something like that, and they might compete at your local pro, no, not even your pro show, especially if it's in Australia. They just compete at your local show. Like,
Yeah.
cool. Like, no one knows about them. Like, no one,
Yeah.
and to be honest with you, no one cares about them. Like, it's
Yeah.
unfortunate, but that's a better comparison for you against them, provided
Yeah.
they're in the same class or the same category that you're wanting to potentially aspire to as well, right? But it's like,
And
hey,
that's
watch how they train, watch what they do, and be like, hey,
yeah.
are you doing the same thing? Like, if you're going to compare the way you look, make sure you compare everything and make it fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that to me is what, like, that premise is why, like, I make that notion, like, treat yourself then as if you aren't genetically gifted,
Yeah.
because then it falls onto you to track, like, and this is where tracking becomes so useful. And I'm like, it frustrates the fucking me how much it gets disputed or challenged or fucking wrongly diagnosed. If you're trying to, like, me and Cav talked about it. If we're trying to assess if a sprint program is working for a athletic sprinter, for a track and field athlete, if we're looking at, what's the difference between then getting a fucking 4.25 on a 40-meter dash, 40-yard dash versus a 4.3 or a 4.1 or whatever it is, we're looking at tracking those metrics. We're looking at tracking things and go, okay, well, he might not have the longest stride or the best whatever, but is he setting his takeoff right? Is he setting his starting position properly? Is he in the right position to reduce friction and improve aerodynamics? Is he coming up from the launch properly? Is he exploding on his first few strides? All those things are beyond, outside of genetics or like a genetic gift. So you go, okay, well, not Usain Bolt, but I'm also doing all of these things regardless, and that's still improving my time. This weird assumption that, like, they're like, I'm not genetically elite or genetically gifted, therefore I'm not going to do anything, or therefore it's not meant for, I can't achieve it or it can't happen. But you're not even treating yourself like someone who should be accountable to the system or the processes that got that person elite. So before elite genetics is the question, are you treating yourself or the data, if that's what you want to compare to, are you treating the system as elite as it should be given? Meaning, like, you're looking at this going,
are you giving an elite effort?
Yeah, there you go. That's simple. Like,
Yeah,
got to be elite comparison. Are you giving an elite effort? That means
literally.
You like,
write that down.
Legit, because, like, genetics doesn't determine effort. Genetics has no predisposition to your effort. Are you waking up, whether it be, I don't give a fuck what time you get out of bed. I know everyone talks about the 4 a.m. club and all that sort of shit, but I don't give a fuck what time you get out of bed.
Yeah, I tried
Are you
that.
doing the same things every day that are going to progress you and get you better and make you improve? Are you still training, tracking your numbers, eating the right food, sleeping on time, like getting your sleep in, whatever that 8 hours looks like?
It is funny because it's kind of almost ironical. This comes back literally to what I posted last night about insanity. Like, yeah, like, you're doing the same shit over and over, expecting a different outcome. It's like, well, why? And it's like I said, you need, if you want to go somewhere you've never been, you need to do something you've never done. And that's such a hard concept for people to grasp.
Yes.
That's like, yeah, literally, like, if you've never done it, well, then you've never done anything to do it. Like,
yes.
So it means you're going to do something that you've never fucking done. Like, so
100%.
What's the worst that happens? Like, you try it and it doesn't work. Whoop-de-doo. At least you can turn around and say that you've tried it. And it's like people in powerlifting when they're scared to pick up a fucking weight. It's like, pick up the bar. You have one job. You don't literally, this is my like third fucking deadlift speech. Pick it up or fucking pass it out. I don't care which one you do. Like, what's the worst that happens? You don't pick it up. Okay, you pick it up next time.
Yeah.
It gives us something to work towards. Like, it's okay.
Oh, now we have a target.
Like, yeah, it's not a fucking big deal. But yeah, it's literally understanding that if you want something you've never ever had or done, you need to do something you've never actually done before. You need to go somewhere you've never been. Like, fucking, that's reality, bro.
It frustrates me when these things are looked at as like neurotic or dangerous or whatever. But it's like, okay, well, if the world's fucking V8 supercars, the engineers and mechanics and the track, the road team, they're assessing their turns, they're assessing the way they come into the corner, they're assessing the takeoff, they're assessing friction, they're assessing their revs, how long they're staying in the red, how long they go and fucking backing off for, what gears they're in. That's all being assessed, because when they come back, they go, all right, you may not be the world's best intuitive driver, and you can't see the future of corners and stuff. Like when you watch Rush and they show you how like Chris Hemsworth character sort of like looks through it. You may not be that person, but like we can track all this data so we can tell you when to back off and when to put the foot down, when to change gears, when to shift into the corner, whatever it is. That same premise comes to your training, comes to life, it comes to your business, it comes to your goal, whatever it is you're trying to do. I because of statistics, the likelihood that you are that elite genetic gift that is just going to walk in and win something because you turned up is very, 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 very small. And if you haven't already won at this age or around this age, it probably isn't, you're not probably in that realm. So take the assumption then that I'm just simply not genetically gifted, and it is my effort and my work and my intensity that is going to give me the result, or at least get me a result. Because with that notion, then nothing is outside. Like it's purely in your control. It's purely up to you what you do. How many sessions am I going to do a week? How often am I doing those sessions? How often am I tracking my data? How often am I getting my information? Am I doing my check-ins properly? Am I giving my photos to my coach? Am I eating my fucking meals? Am I tracking my food? Am I accountable to someone? Am I constantly showing up and turning up? Is my sessions just sort of get through them, or is it with intent and fucking effort? All that shit has nothing to do with your genetics whatsoever. I don't give a fuck if you're, I don't even know. Like it is predicated on nothing else other than you turning up and just making the assumption that I am not gifted, therefore the work is on me to figure out.
Well, yeah, and it's like people again still don't want to do what they need to do.
100%. And that
Yeah.
that in and of itself is what is the differential and the major factor between these 1%ers and not being it. Like if we, and we talked about this before, if you look at basketball, even if you look at any sport, to make the pro level is elite. You're already elite. But to be in that 1% of that, you have, like most basketballers all have the same skills. They all have relatively the same skill abilities and sets. Taking that next level is entirely up to you based on the work ethic you want to put in and what you do next and how much effort you give. Because it's easy if you're already at the top and you're winning. Okay, cool, I'm sweet there. But the one who goes next level is going to be the one who's also doing the extra hours in the gym, the extra shots, the extra fucking training, the road runs, the gym sessions, whatever, watching film, assessing himself, critiquing, whatever. Doing that next level shit is what gets you next level, regardless of genetics. And then, you know, if you don't happen to have the genetics, okay, maybe you don't get next level. But fuck off telling me that treating yourself like you aren't genetically gifted and putting your fucking ass to work is not going to make you improve in some realm. There is absolutely no way that you just doing the fucking thing, putting the effort in, consistently approaching it with some form of intent is not going to make you better than you were the day before.
Yeah, well, who thought actually trying each day is going to make you better?
Fucking crazy.
Isn't the whole motto called Kaizen, 1% better every day?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Anyway,
that's my rant.
Cool.
It was on the mirror.
It was on the board.
Yeah, facts.
Should we get into some questions?
Yep.
All right. Let's see. What have I got? I got a protein one here, actually. Why shouldn't I just chug 10 scoops of protein powder a day for protein goals? I mean, fair question.
Do it. Tell us what happens. How's your butthole?
Well, I mean, short of that, it's much better wholesome to get from actual food because of every other facet that the food contains in terms of vitamins and minerals and all that fancy fun shit.
Stop. Yeah. Don't don't look at macros in vacuum. They also break down into micros, and there's other nutrient petitioning that we need that comes from those foods.
Yes, exactly right. Plus, food tastes better.
Yeah, like different levels of satiety index, different levels of fucking satiation, different levels of taste, flavor, enjoyment, social implications. Generally, just eating. Like I always prefer, like my calories have to get fucking high before I start liquidizing.
Plus, it's healthy for your digestive system to have whole foods versus liquids.
Yeah, you're not building bulk of anything. If you aren't having enough liquid, there isn't enough bulk to your diet. Sorry, if you're only having liquids or liquidizing your foods too much, there isn't going to be bulk into your waste and management and your stools to process things through properly, right?
Exactly. How to deal with perfectionism in the bodybuilding world?
With what?
Bodybuilding with perfectionism.
Fucking embrace it. What do you mean? That's like literally going to be the thing. Like this is where like you got to look at conditions like this on a different way that we view things, and like we talk in social media, like we talk in general social terms. People have like these misconceptions of words like that. If you can embrace perfectionism and the fact that it's not looked as a detriment and you're not, ruining your entire life on it. If you can look at it and go, I want to be the perfect athlete, though I know that I can't be perfect, I will strive to be perfect and give my perfect effort.
Yeah.
Well, then you're utilizing perfectionism as a tool as opposed to a detriment. When we look at psychological analysis, often it has to be in alignment with how detrimental is this to the lifestyle that I'm living, and on what spectrum of that is it intense. So, if you have a disorder, you can be somewhat bipolar, you can be somewhat neurotic, you can be somewhat conscientious, you can be all these different, like It's not you have it, therefore it's bad. So when it comes to like perfectionism in bodybuilding, it's generally like we're encouraging it to a positive degree. As long as it's not like, oh, I'm an absolute piece of shit because I'm lacking shoulder caps, then we're going to look at how you view yourself and your self-esteem and your self-worth based on purely your appearance. But if you can turn something like perfectionism into a weapon and use it, fucking go hard. You're just perfecting that. Like, it's no different to a basketballer who wants to perfect the different shots, like having a jump shot, having a like getting close to the rim, being able to alley-oop, being able to dunk, being able to fucking shoot threes. All these things is just perfecting your arsenal. For us, it's on display in our physique. So I have weak shoulders in contrast to my quads, and the ratios are often my taper. Okay, so I need greater shoulder width. So how do I perfect that? I need to get more volume into my shoulders, keep food in a surplus, make sure I'm not cutting too often. Very simple. I'm not looking at myself going, I'm a fucking piece of shit because I have no shoulders. It's like taking that limitation and flipping it into looking at it and saying, well, this is actually a positive to me because it's going to make me work harder.
Yeah, it's like I think you said at the very beginning, it's understanding that you can aim or strive for perfectionism, but understand that it's never attained.
Yeah.
Like it's not a thing. It's so arbitrary. But
Yes.
the pursuit of doing everything that you do to perfection is something that's very, very real. It's like, well, we can do our utmost and our best and, our best every single time to make that as perfect as possible, making like the process as perfect as possible. But you can never make the outcome perfect because usually the outcome's not dictated or judged by you.
Yes.
Right. So it's like you can control what you can control, and making that as close to perfect as possible for you, and whatever that perfect means for you, so that when you get to D-Day, whatever that is going to be, well, that on that day you've done everything you've done. You can honestly get to that day and say, I've left no stone unturned. I have done everything in my being to be here, and this is what I've got. Well, then it's up to whoever or whatever you're doing to decide what it is. That's it.
Yeah.
Simple.
I mean, like some of the most successful businesses, entrepreneurs, and systems in the world were based on perfectionists. Like Steve Jobs had a genuine perfectionist perspective. He would set a date though, and because he was getting like, there was times where they would like, they release like the Apple One and stuff like that, and things would take too long because it didn't look perfect, it didn't do perfect, whatever. But he said the quality of our products will be perfect. So things as simple as the inside of the motherboard or the fucking hard drive or the old Mac monitors, everything inside was to be laid out properly, perfect, clean, sterile, fucking laid out in a nice, presentable way, even though their entire point was that no one should even need to look in it. But we know that we set that standard to be perfect because it's a standard we want the company to operate by. That doesn't mean that it was like, psychologically damaging to everyone. It was just more so, this is the premise we build this business on. It's going to be perfect. Like even though we don't look at the inside of the monitor or the motherboard, it will be perfect.
Yeah.
It's a standard of excellence.
Well, yeah, right. And again, depending on what it is, it may not be your standard.
Yeah.
Like you have no control over who dictates what the standard of perfect is. And it's like, oh shit happens.
Yeah.
That's all I got for questions.
All right, cool. I got. What percent of natty bodybuilders are actually natty? Very few.
Who cares?
When counting calories, do you account for sugar? It's just a count of carbohydrates. Like generally, if I see someone with a like fucking 200% sugar intake versus like other foods, or okay, let's address this. But yeah, realistically, sugar is addressed in your your net carbohydrate count. You don't need to go extra counting sugars. And just like the really easy premise is just base 80% of your food on whole foods.
Yeah, I mean, the only time I'd be concerned about sugar intake is if blood glucose levels are obviously high. So it's like whatever.
Yeah, that too.
Depending on who it is, obviously.
Do you think people misinterpret Stoic principles for apathetic behaviors?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Yes. People strongly, heavily misunderstand Stoicism and being emotionally intelligent with being apathetic and cold.
Yes.
It is a huge ick. What are the words?
Yeah, it's amazing how many people haven't read Marcus Aurelius and then try to talk about Stoicism.
Yes.
And you're like, You got no clue. The
Yeah.
dude was one of the most like sophisticated, smart, softest, like
Yeah.
emotional people on the planet.
Yeah.
But the dude was a killer.
Yeah,
Like,
he was a fucking
yeah.
gun. Like he was one of the Caesars. Like
Yeah, like he was vicious, but he was also like soft. Like
yeah,
he knew when to play the people and he knew when to be
yeah,
the person that you was needed, and then he also knew when to fuck shit
yeah.
up.
Rome of the hundreds of years of the empire's expansion, there is only said to be 5 good Caesars or emperors.
Yeah.
Marcus was
Marcus,
one of the first ones they
I'm
pick.
pretty sure he's first. Like
Yeah, like
Marcus Aurelius was the
that's
man.
the guy.
Yeah, like he was. Yeah.
But yeah, for me, like the big issue is like when people like somehow become this weird correlation that toxic masculinity is being stoic or like having stoic principles or stoic values. Like that's some of the dumbest shit I've ever fucking heard in my life. If you can misinterpret stoicism as toxic, like you've genuinely misread the literature on every account. If you can say that being stoic or having stoic values or like, and this is the thing too, when it comes to philosophies and psychology, again, it can be a spectrum. You don't have to be an absolutist stoic. I endeavor to be a stoic individual, apply logic, look at what I can control, look at my 4 values like wisdom, virtue, justice, and temperance.
Yeah.
How can I apply those things? But I'm not sitting there being like, Marcus said this, I have to do this exactly.
Yeah, but the funny thing is most people don't understand that a lot of the like stoic comments that most people make and the sayings and all that sort of stuff are balanced.
Yes.
They're opposites. That's literally what it says. It's like you want peace, prepare for war. That's like, bro, it's the 2 opposites.
Yeah.
But they go hand in hand. That's literally like what stoicism is. It's like understanding both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And it's being able to know when you need to be which one and having to be both and understand both. It's like you can't say that it's toxic because what it's toxic. It's toxic to want peace. I'm sorry.
Yes.
But coming with peace, there's a price. Sometimes you need to be willing to fucking throw hands. Like,
but even in terms of like the apathy towards like emotion, it's like Seneca literally talks about how one of the biggest issues in life is finding the understanding of the things that you can have control over and not have control over and not invest too much emotion into it. You're not heavily invested into one specific outcome or one specific thing. You're invested in the process or what you can control. That same premise runs across like temperance or like moderation. It runs across things like justice and wisdom. Like this idea that being apathetic, meaning that you aren't heavily investing in an emotional outcome. So you might have an argument with me. I'm going to sit here and be logical about it and present my data. I'm not going to get super invested and worked up because I don't really like the outcome. To me isn't so much the point. It's that we're able to discuss this civilly and have a conversation that is educational. Second, it's not. I don't care. I'm literally walking away from this conversation, or I'm going to start taking the piss because I find it funny that you start to react. That's where I draw the line. And that to me is not being like cold or emotionless. It's just apathetic to the situation. I'm not invested heavily in one way or the other. And this is the same when we look at research. You should be able to apply apathy to research. If it tells me I'm wrong, I am wrong and I adjust. If it says I'm right, okay, cool, but have I challenged that position? What have other research said? Or have I taken this and applied it in the right way? If someone were to say how I could be wrong, am I open to the debate or discussion that they are potentially right? All these things, very simple premise. Like, I'm not heavily invested in the outcome. I'm invested in me and the things I can control in the process.
Exactly. So yes, I agree.
Again, men having stoic virtues and values is apparently toxic.
So stupid.
Fuck me. Don't know
Can't wait to get my tattoos then.
Biggest regret was not leaving my friend group earlier because I didn't like feeling like an outlier. Correct. I too went through this.
Yeah, it's a funny one. It's more so, it's hard to leave that relationship, right? Especially if you've grown up with them, they're close. But like, it's like any relationship, whether it be with a friend, whether it be with a partner or significant other, whatever. Depending on like the age and all that sort of stuff, but also the maturity levels, emotional maturity and stuff, like you grow. And if you just happen to grow apart and have different ideals, so many people are so scared to say that's okay, but I don't want to be around that. And it's so funny. And to me, it still reminds me of people who follow people on social media and they don't like them. It's like, just stop following them. Like, it's the same thing. Like, it's not a bad thing to say, hey man, like, you're my boy, you know, you ever need me, I'm there, but I don't want to hang out with you too much because you're a fucking idiot. I love you
Yeah.
though, bye, and just get
Yeah.
going.
You're doing some dumb shit. It's fucking
Man,
annoying.
my oldest friend that I've known since I was 4, like, has 2 kids. And I barely
Mhm.
talk to him or see him, but he's still my friend. Like, he's still my
Yeah.
best man. Like, he calls me at, he called me at 2 a.m. and I'd be like, bro, what do you need? I'm there.
Yeah,
But
100%.
like, I don't see him that often. I don't think
Yeah.
I've seen him for 2 months. It's just like
Um,
we are very different people. It's like fuck
the
it.
the father to the children that I'm godfather to,
Yeah.
I might see him once every 6 months. We have absolutely
And
no interest in
people need to stop giving us godchildren.
yeah, legit.
I keep honestly, I've got like 5 godkids, and I'm like, I don't understand why. If you
Can you
all
not please not
die,
die?
if you genuinely, if you all die, I'm not looking after your kids. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have kids for a reason.
I signed up for the title, not the responsibility.
Yeah, even my nephew, like I say, I love him to death. Would do anything for him. Like, send him to boarding school if I ever had him as a kid.
Yeah,
Like,
legit, bro. You're going to like military academy.
100%. Like, I don't want kids. Why are you giving me godchildren?
But that in of itself shows like how, and like I guarantee between those people, there's such differences between us and them, but still we have relationships where, you know, we've evolved past like, you know, whatever you do things, I do things differently. Not that interested in that anymore. But when I catch up, I want to know about your life. I want to know what's going on. Fucking, that's me and my best mate. Like, literally has no interest in bodybuilding, physique development, training, coaching, nutrition. He'll ask for some tips every now and then. I'll tell him when he asks, and I'll give him advice. I'm like, I'm never going to charge you for this. Just take it. But you know, there's some circles where you just fucking evolve, especially when it's like a net negative. Like if it's a detriment, it's holding you back. I call them fucking anchors because that's what they are. They hold you in position and make you feel bad for trying to take off. If that's a position you're in, fuck those people off.
Yeah, man, we completely agree. And don't be, scared, sad.
You're
feel
like, don't
bad.
feel bad
Just-
about it. You don't owe anyone in any
No.
circle an ounce of things. Like
If
you
you
can
have-
give if you give to people with the expectation of reciprocity, like, and depending on what that is, like guilt-based reciprocity, I'd say there's an issue. But if you're in a friends group and you're being made to feel bad for wanting to improve yourself, be better, develop, evolve, progress, then you owe those people nothing. And it's actually costing you, when you look at sunk cost and investment, the longer you stay there.
And if you got shit to do, go do your shit.
Yeah. And
Simple.
fuck what anyone thinks about it.
Exactly. Simple.
Would you rather bump your pinky toe every day when you wake up, or only able to fart in important moments of quiet?
Fart and
I mean, fart's pretty funny.
Fart.
Just
fart.
like imagine
'Cause
like you're addressing the president.
People will get it.
Yeah,
Like, I got a problem. Well, it is what it is. Smell.
that's fair. Would you rather have passion but lack comfort, or have comfort but lack passion in love and life? I mean,
Passion.
passion.
Passion. Fuck comfort.
Passion.
I don't do things comfortably.
Passion. Yeah. I don't even
What's
shit comfortably.
What's
I have a
comfortable?
sore back. I don't even shit comfortably.
If I'm comfortable, I'm dead.
Yeah, passion.
Give me passion.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'm getting hungry. That's the fucking end of questions.
Beautiful. I like it when it's short and simple. I think we've been going for like an hour and a half, but that's fine.
Yeah, short and simple. It's been a fucking ramble.
Nah, I think we've gone just a touch over an hour, which isn't too bad. Anything we need to know coming out? Same shit, different day.
What is coming out? App is up, so we're starting to onboard clients for that now. So that's all going. We're going to look at how we start to do. You can do like there's a systematic way to do program purchases. So like we'll look at like putting together different programs to sell as like one-off options, trying to get people like involved in just simply doing better programming. But we'll see how that goes. It's not something that's immediate right now. No, there's coaching spots, there's training, there's shit happening, preps in the future. If you're looking at season B, fucking season A next year. Generally, I want to start getting like a big thing for us. I want to start getting the marketing habit of emphasizing like 3-month preps are not a good idea, or 6-month preps.
Oh yeah,
just starting with a coach.
Well,
like,
yeah,
you want to do season A next year or season B, you start
now.
Now. Like we're working now, so get on the books. Like, don't wait till, hey, I'm thinking I want to coach. Okay, when do you want to do it? Season B. Okay, we're fucking 25 weeks away. What do you mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to start putting out some marketing for that.
It's like season B next year, right?
You mean 2025? Like that season B?
Bad.
Like,
it's bad.
But yeah, so we're going to try and, it's breaking old molds, right? Like we're not reinventing the wheel, but we're coming to set a different standard. And that is that you like shortchanging yourself by working with a coach for 3 months is not how you get a win, unless
competitors to do consults with me and they're like, I want to prep for this season. And I'll be like, I'm honest with you, you're not ready for that season. You'd have to go probably another prep, probably go like another 6 months and push to the next season. Sorry.
Mhm.
It's like, I mean, you can go for it. You're just not going to look as good as you want to look. Like the
Yeah.
image you have in your head of yourself is not what you're going to look like on stage.
Yeah, yeah. Take about 30% off that and then take some off that
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, like you want to look anywhere close to that, at
Yeah.
least another 6 months.
And mate, that's a very, very real convo that I have with some of my girls is like, okay, so if you think we shred right now, like take about 30% off what you think you'll look like in terms of like quality mass that's underneath or what have you, or what muscle tissue will be left. Like I haven't trained you long enough or I haven't been with you long enough. I can't say, but generally looking at your physique, let's take 30% off. Let's take 20%. Like that's 20% at least off what you think it'll be. Unless you give us some more time. And generally that makes them give you more time because like, hey, we're being honest here. You're not ready.
No, exactly right. Simple.
Yeah, that's it. Nice and simple. Shit's moving along. Things are happening.
Yep.
Get on board. Don't wait. There's still spots. Things are working. It's just obviously as each season comes around, we focus on getting those clients on board and on stage and going. So we obviously want to also prepare and make sure that people are ready for down the track. Have a plan. There's a system. There's a process. Not just wing it and find out 20 weeks out.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think I've only got one for season B, so that's pretty nice. Should be hopefully easy. We'll find out. That's about it from us, guys. Nothing else going on my end. Just client intake shit, usual when I can be bothered advertising, which is hardly ever. Let's be real.
Hey, if only there was a coaching system that was opening up a marketing side that can help out with that.
I'm just lazy. I actually just need to literally post it.
Yeah.
I've got the content. I
Yeah,
just need to
it's already
post the
written. It's already
content.
made, mapped out.
Yeah. And I'm even too lazy to do the whole pre-done posting where you do it like on a Sunday and just like you do it for the I can't be fucked. Whatever. People know. But no, I don't want to schedule it. I actually do have the prototype for my new landing page. I just need to send all the information for it. So hopefully that's up in the next week or so, which would be good. Make life much easier.
Very nice.
But yes, that is it from us, boys and girls of all ages. As always, any questions, concerns, DM Ben or put it in one of the question boxes we put up on a Wednesday morning. Goodbye.
See you guys.